Hello YouTube, this is Shirley426, and today we have the review of the HG Gundam AGE-2 Artimes. That is part of the Premium Bandai exclusive HG Gundam AGE-1 Razor and AGE-2 Artimes set. So yesterday I reviewed the Gundam AGE-1 Razor, and this time I'm reviewing the rest of the kits, the Artimes of AGE-2. So once again, I would like to mention right before I start the review, I think based on the comments I've been getting is that I think none of you guys got really understood what the situation is regarding this kit. So number one, as I mentioned before, the original AGE-1, the kits, the AGE-1 Razor and Artimes, they used to actually exist before. They actually existed. They were included. Problem is that they only existed as parts, so only the arms and legs. With no body as well. So these parts would be included in the hobby magazine stuff. So you will have to buy that magazine, and if you're lucky, you could actually get those. So yeah, these are exactly the same parts of those. This is not an improvement. This is not a new kit. These are basically existing parts re-released as a set that includes the main body of AGE-1 and AGE-2. So so if for this review, some of you guys really need to consider that in mind. This is not a new mold. This is not a new kit. So keep that in mind. Anyway, so for the AGE-2 Artimes, so I'm actually really impressed by this kit, by the design and the amount of actual weapons going on here. So first of all, I'd like to mention that I have a confession, is that I always thought this form was not called Artimes. For some reason, as a kid, I misread the word, and I always thought this was named Airtimes. So, and I think I'm not the only one, because I have seen a few people who mention this as Airtimes as well, unless there has been a change in the name. But other than that, I have no proof, but still, yeah, just wanted to mention that. Alright, so before we go on to the articulation or anything else, let's talk about its components. So first of all, what you get, of course, is obviously the main unit itself. These are one of those units that doesn't have any feet, so I assume these guys are meant to constantly float around. So weapon-wise, pretty much what you see is what you get as the equipment. So we have these gigantic beam cannons on the shoulders, and then we have some familiar-looking weapons on the back that is stored as like a extra weapon as well. And yeah, so other than that, we still have the main body and waist of the Gundam AGE-2, and the beam sabers are still stored in the back skirt. Alright, so because of that, we actually now these are no longer leftover parts. I thought these were meant for these were just leftover parts from the AGE-1 Razor, but no, so you can still actually use these for the AGE-2 as well, and they actually still give you the short ones. So I just wanted to point that out. And number two, so here, because of being the AGE-2 does have a transformation even in this form. There is some parts forming aspects that is required. So technically you could still do the transformation without this, but still this is mainly existing for the overall proportions of the transformation. So that's as far as I understood it. Alright, and then so hand-wise, currently I'm using the multi-purpose hands, but for some reason we do get one open hand for the left hand, and then the actual full-fledged fist hands for left and right. So although I believe you need to, unless I mischecked a few things, but yeah, you do get a full-fledged fist for left and right, and you might need to reuse a handguard out there. Alright, and then once again we do have a action-based whole cover, nothing too special there. And then we get this is apparently, I don't think this has a specific name, but this is actually considered a beam gun. So what you can do is use this as a beam gun, or you can actually attach the beam saber effect part onto here, which actually looks pretty cool than you think. And this is actually used for the transformation. So when you transform, you have to swap out. You do need to do some parts forming and change it into like this or something like that. All right, so we'll get into that later. Now let's talk about some leftover parts. So we have, once again, like the AGE-1 Razor, we do get a good amount of leftover parts. So let's go off with the obvious. So we have some leftover polycaps. We have these parts, once again, that have no use. So we did see something similar on the AGE-1 Razor. So same case for the AGE-2 Artimes. And then let's see. So here we have the D plate from the original kit. I believe this is from the AGE-2 normal or AGE-2 kit in general. So we have some of these original ankle joints going on here, and then we have some of these parts left over as well. And then actually here is the G plate, which is actually from, I believe is from the double bullet. Yes, we actually do get some parts from the AGE-2 double bullet, so I'm actually impressed. So we have all the original shoulder parts. I believe these were the feet if I remember correctly, and then we have the leg areas as well, so that's actually really impressive. And then here we have the A plate from the original AGE-2 normal. So we pretty much use almost everything except for the feet area. And then we have this plate, which is from this is the F plate from the double bullet as well. So we have some of these parts, the original joints for the double bullets, shoulder area, and so on. And finally, yes, we actually do have leftover parts of these parts. These are the AGE-2 double bullet parts for the shoulders, for those who don't remember. And yeah, so that's a good amount of parts. So I think, although I haven't tested it and I don't plan on testing it, but I think you might be able to make the full-fledged AGE-2 double bullet with those parts. Maybe not entirely, but I think you might be able to make a good amount. Alright, so let me get it off the action base. And obviously, because of the overall design of this guy, once again, we do have an action base included in this kit. Although these action bases are not that great, just wanted to point that out. Yeah, I mean, in the long run, you'll notice that it's not a great action base. Alright, before the articulation, sticker-wise, it uses the same sticker sheet, but the only stuff that we use are pretty much the eyes, the head cameras, the head stickers, the vent stickers, the main age system here, and then these gray ones. Now, I didn't use any of these gray ones. Now, this one I actually tried to use, and the main reason I didn't use this is that I actually messed up this one. It actually ripped, and then some parts actually got damaged, so I wasn't able to use this one, so there was no reason for me to use this, so I had to color it. Alright, so let's see what we got. So, as I mentioned before, being the AGE-2 Artimes, it still uses the same main body and waist section of the original AGE-2 normal, so I won't be going over that. So, let's look at the main shoulders. The shoulders, we actually have the same articulation around here, and then the arms obviously go 360. And for the shoulders, now this is kind of interesting, so let me just take off the arms. So, the main cannons here, these gigantic cannons, they look very cool if you ask me. They kind of remind me of a few other weapons from other series, but still, I really like the design. So one of the gray stickers that you have to use are these parts. You can see I actually use a metallic silver marker, although I think it's running out of ink. So I color these parts gray because originally you're supposed to use these stickers, but as you can see there's these engraved details here, like extra like heaters or something like that. So you can see these engravings here. A problem is if you use the stickers, they're gonna pretty much cover up that detail. So which is why I thought it was a waste. So I decided to use a gray Gundam marker and color that up. The other one is this gray section right over here. Originally, I was going to use a sticker, but I made a mistake, so I was trying to reapply it, but on the process, the sticker ripped. So I had no choice but to color that section. So yeah, those are the only other stickers other than the head. So this part itself entirely is connected to a ball joint. So you can go 360 here. So you can aim the cannon any way you want. And on the back section here, you can see the rifle that was included in the double bullet here. So this is actually stored in like that, so you can still use it. So it's a very smooth connection here, and it fits in perfectly. So there should be no problem as well. So you can pretty much aim it like this or like this, so depending on how you want to use it. And then another interesting feature is that I read the wiki, and I'm still not sure what this is. Either this is meant to vent off heat or something else, but still, it's definitely good to know that there is like this kind of hidden feature going on here. So it's a pretty cool feature if you ask me. Okay, so this part is connected to a ball joint, plastic ball joint, using a polycab on the inside, so rotating is fine. You might be wondering, what about this other section here? So the way how this works is that you can see there is a small peg here that actually locks into place. So for the transformation, you do need to change the position here, but for the other parts, it's really up to you. So if you want to be focused on this thing, you can change that as well, or you can just pretty much change it back. Now, when you transform, you have to make sure this is going all the way back like that for the transformation here. So, but other than that, it's really up to you. Or I guess what you could technically do is that you can technically sand that part off and make it free, make it rotate as much as you want to. But once again, I'm not going to take that risk. And if you're wondering, this top section here does not rotate because once again, it has a similar system going on here. Let me just take this part off. Man, that is stiff. So you can see this is not a round peg. This is not a round peg. It also has one of those T-type pegs, and once again, here is also crossed out. So you're gonna have to choose like which position you're going for. But most of the time, you're going to be like that. So that's that for the arms. Now the arms here, nothing too special going on here. Still your typical arms, so 360 twist is possible. And bend-wise, we get a nice decent bend going on here, and we get your typical ball jointed hand. So that's that. Other than that, everything here is still the same. The H2 side skirts, the back skirt are still the original, the back as well. The head is still going on, and the chest is still the same. Instead for these vents, I decided to just use a black Gundam marker to color it first, and then attach the yellow pieces. Now for the legs here, let me take off the action base. The legs, once again, there's no feet, but because these are all thrusters, you have this opening section right over here. You can move the side skirts to the side. You can, once again, if you want to, you can divide the ball joints here if you want to do so. So the legs can go to the side 90 degrees. You can still get a nice side swivel going on here, although slightly on the stiff side. And then bend wise, now the bend, make sure, one thing for sure is that you want to make this part slightly go downwards so you can get a full nice bend going on here. So bend wise, we do have a decent bend going on here, and you might be wondering what is this for. So what you can do is you can flip this all the way down, and these are supposed to be extra support. If you don't want to use the action base, then you can use these as supports. Now this actually took me a while to figure out what these were, but still they actually do work. Alright, so we've seen the basics of the kit. So before we go on to the actual transformation, let's see what this kit can do. So I'll be right back with some demonstrations here. Okay, I'm back. So basically I pretty much took out all the weapons here. So once again, on the left arm I gave it to one of the DOTS rifles going on here that was stored onto the back here, and then onto the other side I gave it to beam gun with the beam saber effect attached here. So the way how this connects is pretty interesting. There's no actual handle here. Now there is a peg inside there, but that's actually meant for the transformation here. So where this connects is that this connects into that hole there. Well, not exactly a full-fledged hole, but for those who built the H2, you should know what that hole is actually meant for, or kind of know what the situation is there. And the cannons actually worked pretty well. I also extended these parts as well. Anybody who knows what the inside of these parts are, do let me know. And yeah, the massive cannon looks really good on here. So anybody who's into like these gigantic cannon stuff as weapons, I think you're gonna really enjoy this kit. And if you go to the wiki, there's actually some customizations here or variants of certain units, like the Adele using this, or even the G Bouncer using these parts, or heck, even the Dark Hound version looks really cool there. So yeah, the weapons work absolutely fine on here. The only downside is that you're going to need a more decent action base, because once again, positioning like the angle and such, I would suggest you invest on a pretty good action base like the Tamashi Nation's stands, because these type of things are just literally meant for it to be just hang in there. Alright, so we've seen the basics of the unit, and we've seen the weapons. This thing definitely came with more weapons than I've actually imagined. So I did not know that these DOTS rifles were included into the set as well. So very big bonus for me. Alright, so I'll be right back with the transformations here, and we'll end it off there. Okay, I'm back. So here is the transformation here. Currently I'm using the given stand just to make sure, just to show you guys how you're supposed to use it. You actually need to twist this about 180 degrees, and then use the peg on the other side to connect it here. Now, as long as you have another peg that can reach to that hole, that you should be fine. So here is the transformation here. One thing that you need to swap out is pretty much the leg piece here for the correct proportions for the transformation. But still, yeah, the transformation overall is still the same for the main body. You fold it, you basically put the head on the inside, and then you fold out the back, and then connect to, you basically flip out the back skirt and connect it to the back here. The legs are, despite how different they look, they still have the same overall basis, where you do the typical Wing Gundam style transformation on the legs here. And then the beam gun, there is a peg that you need to take out and then reconnect the blue part forward and then connect it to the chest. So I think that they did a pretty good job on this design. And now instead of having wings, now everything else becomes these rifle things kind of make it look like they're wings, and then the cannons are now facing frontward. So definitely they have this massive look going on here. I do like this design. And that's pretty much it. So yeah, I think because of the gigantic cannons, now in the long run the shoulders may droop down a bit, or maybe the ball joint connection might become a little bit unstable in the long run, but still I'm just really glad that I was able to get this set, because once again, these are one of those exclusive parts that were very difficult to get, even though you're willing to pay more. It's just the fact that availability was not available in many places, so I wasn't able to get it. So I'm just really happy the fact that now I actually own this set, because I'm a really big fan of Gundam AGE-2. I mean the Gundam AGE series in general, and I wouldn't mind seeing more game exclusive variants, or in that special episode variants like the Sword Dia. I wouldn't mind getting those as Premium Bandai as well. Anyway, thank you for watching the review. This was the review of the HG Gundam AGE-2 Artimes from the Razor and Artimes set. If you guys got any questions or requests, in the comment below. I still have more stuff to buy and build and make reviews of, so please stay tuned, and anything I review, I will try to mention it on the community tab. Anyway, until then, see you guys next time.